Hey nerds, happy Homer Wednesday. So today, pretty good day all in all. So I'm going to celebrate with a little beer, and I don't have a bottle opener to open it. Pause that thought. Hey kids, happy Homer Wednesday. Having a really good day today, so I'm gonna bust into a special beer, the RMCM, the Ron Mexico's Citrus Missile. This will be the second bottle I opened. I tested one last night just to check carb, and it's pretty much there. And it's a pretty interesting beer, so I kind of want to throw it in a glass and check it out. So this is the beer. It's just a small batch. Let me get a nerdy camera for there. So this is a single hop beer with an experimental hop called Ron Mexico. I think it's HBC 438. Mike can probably correct me if that's wrong, but it was called Ron Mexico by some guys at a talk that Aaron and I went to last year, and we got a bunch of these hops for free. So I paired it with this yeast, White Labs 644. It used to be a Brett strain, now it's a Saccharomyces strain. Whatever, I'm sure I've told you the same stupid story a million times. But it came out to be a pretty interesting beer. It looks okay. It's pretty hazy. I poured a lot of the shit out of the bottle on this one, but even the one I opened yesterday, pretty hazy. Maybe sitting in the fridge for a while, clear them out. I don't know. I don't really care. But it smells super fruity. Like, I almost inhaled the foam there. That would have been sweet. You get a really tropically citrusy thing out of it. As this was going along in fermentation, every time I tasted it, it tasted like straight up eating citrus. It was crazy. And now it's kind of melded to like a fresh citrus, but with some tropical like guava-y, maybe I don't know, passion fruit. You don't get to eat a lot of like just straight up passion fruit, but anyway, cheers. I'm gonna get into this thing. It's such an interesting beer. I've never had a beer that tastes quite like this, and I'm pretty sure that's mostly yeast character and partially probably these hops. I remember this kind of hop character from the beers that we had. We had a homebrewed beer that was made with this hop, and a beer that Russian River made. They're both 100% Ron Mexico hops, and both beers I thought were awesome. The Russian River beer was ridiculous. It was so good. And it had this same kind of super, it's almost like orangey grapefruit, but like the flesh of an orange or a grapefruit. I don't know. Somebody else has got to taste this beer because I don't know how to describe it properly because I'm kind of an idiot. But all in all, I think it's pretty successful. The yeast is super cool. I think it might work better with a super tropically hop. Like this would be rad with Mosaic, or it would be super good with like just a big Citra bomb. So I think that's what I'm going to try and do with it next, is maybe do a big Citra Mosaic, take my shirt off and go puka, and do that with one of these beers. And just see, I think that big tropically juiciness is really going to play well with this. This hop in particular, I'm really curious to see. I think Mike is doing this hop in the hop experiment. I'm really curious to see what it comes out like, because I think it's going to be super citrusy. Yeah. Oh yeah, I got all kinds of shit floating in the bottom of the glass. So, that's awesome. Whatever. So anyway, what happened today? I got two pieces of good news. I'm not sure which one I'm more excited about. So we can go A or B. I'll go my news first. They finally released all the results from NHC, the first round, and I managed to win my category with my Raspberry Berliner. So that beer took first place in the first round, and will then go to the finals, which will be cool. Then it can lose there, and Aaron can have his disappointment cam, and we'll all just laugh at my disappointment again, which will be fun. But actually, I think that beer is pretty legit, and I think it's got a shot at maybe doing something. I kind of thought that last time I had a beer in the finals too, but yeah, what are you going to do? Second piece of news, I found out that New Glarus, Jake just told me this like 15 minutes ago, right before I sat down to film this video, but I found out that New Glarus is going to start canning beers, and the first beer they're going to can is 12 packs of Moon Man, which I could not be more pumped about. Although it'll really limit my supply of bottles, because I buy Moon Man all the time just because the labels come off so easy, and I love the beers, so it's like $7 for 6 bottles. It's probably more expensive than buying them at Northern Brew or something, but probably not that much, honestly. So yeah, that's my news. It's like Rad News Day. There's a couple other guys, I believe, from our homebrew YouTube nerd world that also did pretty well in NHC. I know Dan Pixley, Dan ABA, had a Creek that is going through to the final round, which is pretty rad. And I believe Beaver Dog Brews also has a beer. I think it's an IPA that's going through to the final round, which is pretty awesome. So that's pretty good. I mean, there's pretty legit, and I'm really curious to see how the score sheets come back for everybody. Because I know there's a few guys that had some beers in the final round that didn't make it, but it's all right. It's pretty legit competition. It's pretty hard. I put 3 beers in, only one of them made it. So I now have freed up a few bottles of the Guacamole Saison. So that's cool. I don't have to feel bad about drinking those anymore. Anyway, that's it. I just here to brag a little bit, and because nobody else really cares. I told my wife; she was happy. Mainly so I could get some beer out of that refrigerator, because that's the constant story is you've got too much beer. But yeah. So cheers, nerds. Congrats to everybody that entered the competition. It's always a fun one to enter because it's a national thing. It's pretty big. It's fun. And I'm also now my wheels are spinning for SJ Pour. Since that's a session beer challenge, I have about 7,000 ideas of beers that I think would be good and kind of set themselves apart. So I just need to whittle that down to like 2 or 3, and then bang out a couple batches. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, I'm out of here. Yondu nerds. Try weird beers. You never know, they might come out good. Or they suck and you pour them out and never tell anybody about them. But sometimes you get something good in a glass. Love you, nerds. Cheers. Okay, so I thought I would do a little update. This is my Saison chamber that has some beers obviously working in it. The bottles are all this Ron Mexico beer that's still going. That is a Brett Saison that's been in there for 2 months that I haven't really touched. Probably won't for another month. This one, the little one, is the 1 gallon with Belle Saison yeast of the beer that is here. That is the beer with Ryan's yeast. So there's 2 Brett Saisons in there, 1 clean Saison, and then a bunch of weird yeast beers. So here's a little thing. I don't know if you can see this. My heat lamp, I had it pointed down too far. I fucking melted the carboy. So I don't think it'll affect the beer much. I think the plastic just warped a little bit, but that's there's a pro tip for you. Don't melt your carboys while you're fermenting beer in them.